What's up, everybody, and welcome back to After the Snap. I'm your host, Tasha Pierce, and this is the weekly wrap-up, where we're going to discuss the week in entertainment. The itinerary for the show is always in the description, along with links to relevant articles that I used when I did my research. I'm going to stick to the script unless you derail me, and I invite you to air your thoughts out in the chat or the comments. And with all these introductions out of the way, let's get into this week's wrap-up. So, this week, I have a huge itinerary for you all. I've got a lot of stuff. Oh, Stacey. Here's on time. Stacey, how you doing? Don't know much about the Star Trek world or the movies of today, but I do so enjoy your presentations and your determination to succeed. Hang in there. Oh, thank you so much, Stacey. I'm sure gonna try with faithful and loyal viewers like you. I think I'll be all right. I think I'll be okay. And you don't necessarily have to have the movie knowledge and all of this stuff. It's just a conversation. We just gonna have a good old conversation. So this week though was a very busy. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. There's a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about this week, so I've got a full itinerary. But we are going to start with the untimely death of Norm MacDonald. Norm MacDonald was one of what most people will consider one of the most talented comics of our time. Now, you know, I know that there are 1,000,002 comics that come to mind when we think of stand-up comedians or when we think of physical comedy, you know. But Norm MacDonald has been in the game for decades. He has he cut his teeth in the Saturday Night Live world, and now he has gone on to meet his maker, I guess. And I mean, I know that sounds rather morbid, but my understanding is that he had been ill. Hey there, Jose, how's it going? He had been ill for the better part of a decade, and I'm thinking, wow, what is with these stars? And they just suffer in silence. And I just, it was amazing to me that he had cancer for over 10 years, and he finally succumbed just here recently, last week. So let's take a look at this article where they're talking about the great Norm MacDonald, one of the greatest comedians to have ever lived. Again, if you're looking for the article that I am referencing, there's a link to it in the show notes. But yeah, so Tuesday, Norm MacDonald passed away. Comedians, actors, writers, they all took to social media to mourn him and to remember the life of the famed Saturday Night alum. MacDonald died of cancer at age 61 after a private struggle with the disease. And he was best known for doing the Saturday Night Live news thing, and he anchored the Weekend Update all the way up until 1998. And then he was replaced by Colin Quinn. He did impressions of Burt Reynolds, David Letterman, Larry King, Quentin Tarantino. He did an awful lot of impressions. Recently here, he had been working on the Orville. So the Orville is a sci-fi show kind of in the vein of our original Star Trek, the original series. The Orville will put you in the mind of that. And he had played a character called Yaphet. And he didn't have to be on screen because this was a he didn't have to be on screen because this was a blob. This was a blob that he was playing in the Orville. So that was Norm Macdonald. It is a very sad day when we lose a comic or anybody who has given us some pleasure over the years as far as their work on television or on the big screen. We owe these people a big thank you for entertaining us for so long. So yes, it was a very sad day that we lost Norm Macdonald, and may he rest in power. Now there's another story that I wanted to talk about, and it was about a crew member on a movie that Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg are filming. And this crew member suffered major injuries after an accident. And the reason why I wanted to share that one is because, I don't know if it's just that we're hearing about them more now, but I did notice that we are having a lot more injuries on screen, and there's something going on with this camera over here. So give me a second. Let me check to see what's happening. Hopefully you guys can still see me, but let's see. No, I want to go USB. Okay. Well, maybe this will work now. Let's see. Hopefully you guys still see me. So, Kevin Hart, Mark Wahlberg's crew member from a comedy film set, suffers massive injuries. And now we heard about a month ago where the young lady Letitia Wright, who stars in the Black Panther movies, how she suffered a minor injury. Well, this one was not a minor injury. This individual who got hurt the other day, it's unidentified so far. He was injured on a soundstage, and he fell off of, I guess, like a scaffolding on that soundstage. He fell between 60 to 80 feet. And he, 38 years old, suffered a lot of trauma, broken legs, broken arms. He was hemorrhaging. And I'm wondering, like, how much work are we doing to make sure that these people are safe on the soundstage? Because that sounds like a truly massive injury. It's not something that I would wish on anybody. I truly hope that he is okay now, the gentleman who suffered this trauma. Okay, Stacey, you say you see me. Good. And Norm Macdonald, like I say, he was part of the Saturday Night Live family for some time. I think it was about 5 years that he was on Saturday Night Live. So there was, and look at me now, I'm stuck. Gosh, I just don't know. Every week, if it doesn't go off without a hitch, most of the times I mess up before the show even starts, and I've got a chance to at least get it right. But today, stuff is starting to happen in show, and I don't like that. Don't like it one bit. So let's see. Hopefully this fixes what I was trying to do here. Yeah, there I am. Okay. All right. So yeah, these crew members are having these accidents, and I'm wondering how much we are doing as far as, not us personally, but how much people are doing to make sure these people are safe, because maybe we're just hearing about accidents more, but I don't want to, I think that is truly a scary proposition when we have people getting hurt like that to that extent. And yeah, I'm so glad that you liked the video or liked this live stream. If you guys can do me that favor, if you're still here, hit the like button. kind of at least bumped me up in the in the algorithm of YouTube, because Lord, I'm a struggle, but I'm gonna keep on going. I'm gonna keep on pushing. All right, we got Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is heading to Universal. Now, if you are unsure of what I'm talking about, Christopher Nolan had been working with Warner Brothers for years. We're dating back to The Dark Knight, the Batman movies from back in the day. Thank you for that like. We're dated back to the Batman movies. Christopher Nolan has had a long-standing relationship with Warner Brothers until this year. And what happened to change, or maybe that was even last year, what happened to change their, hey Clarence, what happened to change that relationship was the Warner Brothers decision to put this movie Tenet on HBO Max and in theaters at the same time. Now, Christopher Nolan pretty much is saying, I ain't signed up for that. I did not sign up for my movie to be played on television at the same time that it's being played in theaters. So they had a little fight. They got a little angry at each other. And Christopher Nolan had already said, I'm not doing no more work with Warner Brothers. But of course, you know, we say things when we're in our feelings. I get in my feelings sometimes. I say some stuff and then we forget about it. But Nolan didn't forget. Nolan did not forget. He definitely remembered that he felt like they did him wrong. And he decided, hey, I'm taking my talents elsewhere. Now, the elsewhere that he went to is to Universal Studios. And what we're finding out is that he is working on a movie about J. Robert Oppenheimer and the A-bomb. So this is coming from Deadline. Again, if you're looking for my sources, they are in the description. And I got the links to all the relevant articles. But yeah, so he's doing this movie about J. Robert Oppenheimer and the A-bomb. And of course, we all pretty much thought it would come out and through Warner Brothers. I've been hearing about his desire to do this movie, and now we know that this movie is going, but it ain't going with Warner. It is going with Universal, and one of the ways that Universal wrapped them up, because trust me, when a director like Christopher Nolan goes basically rogue and says, I'm through working with Warner Brothers, when they become a free agent, every studio in Hollywood wants a Christopher Nolan movie. Christopher Nolan, again, he's been known for work like Batman, Inception, Tenet that just came out. He's got a huge Interstellar. Oh, he's got a huge filmography, and all of the movies is like banger after banger after banger after banger. So you know that what you're getting. But he says he makes his movies for the theatrical experience, and Warner Brothers let him down with this Tenet movie. So he moved on. One of the things that made him decide, I won't go with anybody else except for Universal, is that they have agreed to give him 180-day theatrical release. Now in the world that we're living in, says that a theatrical release is pretty much 45 days now. He's more than doubling. He's just basically saying, I want my movies to be in theaters for half a year. But we know that's not going to happen. So that is first and foremost. That ain't happening. He's not getting a half a year. However, the fact that he wanted that to be part of his contract will mean that he's going to get the longest theatrical release as possible. instead of it automatically going to, I think with Universal, it might be, who's Universal's streaming service? Is it Peacock? If somebody knows, let me know in the chat. But yeah, there is, I think it's Peacock for Universal. And he said, as long as my movies don't end up on Peacock, as long as I am going to get this theatrical release, and I want it to be the longest theatrical release I could possibly have for my films, I'll roll with you. They were saying that even Netflix wanted them, and Netflix was even saying, we'll put your movies in theaters first before we move it to Netflix. He chose to not go that route, and I'm kind of glad he did. I'm kind of glad he did, because Christopher Nolan movies, and even though I know that this is not the time to be being funny about a movie getting a theatrical release only because of COVID and Delta and all the rest of this stuff, but definitely a Christopher Nolan movie is definitely made for the big screen. Jose, you say yes, and that name is rough every time you say it or hear it. Which name you're talking about? You talking about Christopher Nolan? And say aiming high is wise. Thank you, Stacey. Yes, indeed. You got to dream big. Somebody gonna have to tell me that more than one person's gonna have to tell me that I can't do something before I stop trying. And the thing is, the more you tell me I can't, I'm stubborn too. I'm gonna keep trying. So here I am. But yeah, yeah. Christopher Nolan going to Universal is a big deal, and Peacock. It's rough every time you hear Peacock. Yeah, that's a weird streaming service name, but it's not my pick. That was definitely up to them, and they chose Peacock. So yeah, we're gonna see how this relationship with Universal turns out with Christopher Nolan. But for right now, we know that a long-standing relationship in in movies has been ended with the move to Universal. And let's see, there's a shakeup at Paramount, and that is of interest to me because if you didn't know, I kind of like Star Trek, just a little. And Paramount Communications boss Chris Patrican exited after Jim Giannopoulos' departure. So basically, let's get down to the article. As a matter of fact, let me share the article with you guys because that's something I forget to do. And I don't know why. My camera is frozen in this image, so I'm not going to move, but you see I'm still here. But yeah, this article concerning Paramount Pictures is talking about the executive vice president of global communications and corporate branding is leaving. And that's after Jim Giannopoulos, who is also leaving as chairman and CEO. Brian Robbins is going to start overseeing motion pictures in addition to Showtime. And that is part of his growing portfolio and work. So yes, there's a shakeup. I don't know if that's going to have a lot to do as far as the Star Trek universe goes, and if you know if it's going to have an effect on our Star Trek stuff, please let me know in the chat. But it looks like, the person who was over Showtime is now going to be over Paramount TV. And that is, it seems like they have a clear direction with where they want to go with Star Trek. And as long as they don't touch my Trek I don't care what they do. As long as it continues to run professionally and it doesn't mess with Star Trek, I don't care. I really don't. I want them to make sure that we are continuing to get top notch Trek, and not only that, the movie division. I want them to start working on some Star Trek, please and thank you. I understanding that there are rumors of a movie. One of the movies that I know we're probably not getting is that Quentin Tarantino Star Trek movie. But outside of that, I think we are getting a Star Trek movie, and in fact, they're saying a couple of them. But it's nothing that is in production at this moment. So if you heard something different, please let me know, because I would love to be reporting that we know that we're getting a Star Trek movie sometime soon. It's time to put them back on the big screen. Okay. Also, another one of the things that has been occurring, and I found out the hard way. So the other day, I went to watch Titans, DC's Titans, on HBO Max, and I go to log in to HBO Max, and it's saying that I'm unsubscribed. And I'm like, I know I didn't unsubscribe from HBO Max. So what in the devil is going on here? Because, there are some shows on HBO that I love to watch. And here we are finding out that instead of, I signed up, I didn't sign up through HBO. I signed up through Amazon because, I don't know, I do everything through Amazon. Amazon pretty much has a monopoly over my life. I do all my shopping. I do a lot through Amazon. So we find out that relationship between HBO Max and Amazon has kind of ended. HBO Max say we want people to sign up for our service through our service. We don't want them to sign up through Amazon. So my account got canceled, and I had to go and make a new account with HBO Max. Well, come to find out that because they canceled my service and started it back with HBO Max, I got a discount. So anybody who had gone through Amazon to get their HBO Max received their HBO Max at half off. Now, how did that... Let's go back and get my right slide up here. So I am now paying $7.49 instead of the $15 that I was paying, because I don't want their ads either. You can hold on to your ads, but now $7.49 is what I'm paying for HBO Max. It's because they were trying to curtail the losses in subscriptions that they were getting, or that they were having, because people were signing up on Amazon Prime. So 6 months of $7.49, I can deal with that. Yes, so they're trying to, again, just like the article says, it's a Deadline article. The move is aimed at counteracting the inevitable loss of subscribers due to management's decision set in motion 2 years ago to break from Amazon channels. The platform removed HBO earlier this week, ending a relationship that long predates the current streaming era. So we're seeing an awful lot of relationships ending that had been standing for long periods of time, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. What I don't want is to continuously have to have the conversation of whether or not we are going to be putting new movies on our streaming services after COVID, after we've gotten this thing under some type of control. And right now, hopefully, we're heading in the right direction. But it ain't looking good. It's not looking good in Texas. I don't know how it's looking in other parts of the U.S., but people here are a little stubborn. People here are not for change, and I just don't want to see big movies that are designed for the big screen going straight to streaming. I do understand that right now we are in a position where these things are almost inevitable if these movies are going to get out in a timely manner. For instance, we've seen the Bond movie that's coming out next week, No Time to Die. We've seen that get the pushback a million times because we were waiting to see when this thing is going to be over. It's obvious that a lot of our co-citizens are not in a hurry for this thing to be over because they're making it political. And I'm not trying to be political. The only thing I want is to be able to go to the movies and not be afraid that somebody is sitting too close to me, or if somebody sneezes, I don't want to be looking at them like they broke a law, and vice versa. I don't want nobody to treat me like that either, even though, because sometimes I cough or sneeze in the movies, and I think to myself, oh my God, people are going to think that I'm sick. Let's see. Stacey says, I was there for the first Star Trek show and all the rest. Those gumdrop flashing buttons cracked me up. And Captain Kirk was seeding one universe after another. Captain Kirk was a mess. But the thing is, you could tell the era that was made in, because even though they were trying to be so progressive, and I love my original series Star Trek as well, but they were trying to be so progressive, and for the time they were very progressive. But now the stuff that he was doing was just is completely frowned upon right now. He would be a problem if you put that Captain Kirk on a starship today. Captain Kirk would be a problem, because even the way he look at women, sometimes even the way he looks at a woman would have him, getting some articles written up on him. So yeah, he was a mess. And I mean, he wasn't the only one. Riker was a mess in TNG. I didn't have an issue with at the time some of the stuff that he would say and do. But I mean, as I get older, I know a little bit better. And the thing is, back in like TNG era, I was a young girl, very young girl. But I came up in a different time. Kirk would look very messy. Starfleet today, yes, Kirk, he would. But in that time that TNG was a new show on television, I was a young girl, and I don't know what it was like anywhere else, but I lived in Gary, Indiana, and it was almost acceptable at that time for men to ogle you, men to touch you as you walking down the street, or to make and I'm saying touch in a way that wouldn't be, I didn't consent to you putting your hands on my rear end as I walked across the street. So these are things that would just happen, and we were taught what not to do so that young men wouldn't want to look at us like that. But I'm thinking now, there was a lot of rapists. There was a lot of sexual assault going on in that era. And I, again, don't know what it was like anywhere else. Where I was from, it was kind of, it was really, really prevalent. And it wasn't just young men. It was old men. It was now that the world has started to realize, they say the intergalactic James Bond. Yes, because James Bond was a mess too. Now, I'm not up on the lore with James Bond just yet. I think I have to watch like 30 movies. But I can say that he was messy too. And you could just tell the era that these shows came out in. And again, like I said, where I grew up, it was like dog eat dog. You had to tie jackets around your waist and wear baggy clothes, and you could not. It was a mess growing up in that era. I don't know how it was anywhere else, but it was really bad in Gary, really bad. But anywho, now I've gotten off onto a tangent. One of the things that I don't know how many people watch what is his name? Luther. Luther was a Netflix show, and I don't know if it started off on Netflix, but I truly liked it. And Luther is a show that Idris Elba starred in. So Idris Elba, of course, we don't even have to. Anywho, Idris stars in Luther, and who he is in Luther is like this grizzled homicide detective, and he is not afraid to cross the line. Idris Elba tiptoes over the line of being nearly a criminal. He does some criminal things to catch his man. They are making a movie for Luther from director Jamie Payne, and when they announced that they are going to include Cynthia Erivo and Andy Serkis to this cast, I'm like, you know what? I am all the way here for it. I hope that this doesn't follow some of the Netflix movie things that I come to expect. I don't know what to expect, and I've said it a million times. I don't be knowing what to expect with Netflix movies. Sometimes those movies are like, wow, I can't believe this is on Netflix. And some of these movies is like, wow, why would they even put this even on Netflix? So I watched a couple of movies last week. Some of them were great. I mean, I won't call none of them great, but I had an enjoyable time, like with Kate. And I did a review. You say you think you're behind a bit. Sorry about those creeps and Gary. They sorry too. A lot of them still there. That's why I said, let me get up out of here. This is not where I want to grow old. But yeah, so it does. It gets bad. It got bad back then. You said Stacey said it's gonna be the bomb. They had me at Idris. They had me at Idris Elba. Honey, I don't know how he could go wrong. I loved him in The Wire way back when, and all these stops that he's made in between. Idris Elba has become that household name, and I am all the way here for this movie. I just hope that they put the right people, the right script, because they've got the right actors. So there is no way that this movie should not do well on Netflix, especially when you already have people who are fans of the series. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, this is kind of what I wanted to happen with Columbo. Now, I know Columbo, I'm an old soul. I still watch a lot of those old TV shows, especially the stuff that I used to enjoy with my dad. And he got me into a whole lot of this stuff. So thank you, Daddy. But Columbo. I had always wanted to go to the movies to watch Columbo on the big screen. And I actually thought we were going to get that. This has nothing to do with anything that's on my list. I'm sorry, I'm freestyling. So, Columbo with Mark Ruffalo. Now, if you've seen the movie Zodiac, you know that Mark Ruffalo played police officer, and the way he patterned the officer that he played in the movie Zodiac was right off of Peter Falk and as Columbo. And I thought to myself, he is perfect. He's perfect for Columbo. And then I started hearing little whispers that that they were going to make a Columbo movie, and then it just fell, to the wayside. I've never heard anything else. But when these shows already have a very invested audience, big screen success is not that hard to achieve. You might not be able to continuously repeat that by putting sequel after sequel after sequel. I could see that Mark Ruffalo would be a great Columbo. He sure would. I really, and if you watch the movie Zodiac, you'll see that he really gave you Columbo vibes. He had the coat. He had the mannerisms, that whole one more thing. I love when Columbo say that, he is on your butt already, sweetie. You have already lost. As soon as he starts hitting you with one more thing, he is playing games with your mind. But that's the way I feel about Luther as well. And I think that Luther will do well as a movie, but they can't keep going to that well too often. And I think the same thing with Columbo. You can go to that well once or twice, but you can't just keep churning out sequels. Because the audience base for these characters is getting a little older. Luther has people my age, maybe I'll say the 35 to 55 crew. The 35 to 55 crew, it will give you about 10-15 years of going to the movies to see Luther. So you might be able to get away with that for a little while, but the Columbo window is closing. So if they're going to do it, they need to go ahead and do it, because the audience for Columbo has gotten old. If I'm old, the people who was